Hey everybody, it's Eric live alongside Rod to talk about Michigan State's 71-52 win over the Iowa Hawkeyes tonight in each team's Big Ten opener. What a game for MSU, as they sure did not come out flat or have Iowa as a trap game, as some people were concerned about, as a trap game between North Carolina and Duke. Tricky game for sure, as we both expected, but both teams really struggled offensively to get going to start the game. Iowa opened with a 5-0 lead, kept turning MSU over, which was the main problem for Michigan State. Game was tied at 9 apiece with 10:49 to go in the first half, and then was just 12-10 with MSU just a tiny lead with 9 minutes to go. And the Spartans went on a 13-0 run, and the game was essentially over at that point. They went in with the locker room with a 35-21 lead into the half, and the Hawks never got within 12 after that, really, in the second half. And the Michigan State extended lead up to 20 or so. So MSU focus was on full display. They continued to connected its defense, rebounding ferocity, and a near perfect display from the free throw line with a 22 for 25 effort. So they win in a blowout, ready for Duke coming to town on Saturday. Of note, too, Cam Ward kept out of the game with a wrist sprain, which I should have known about before I picked him for the rebounding. Trey Fort played, but had the flu. And new head football coach Pat Fitzgerald, as I expected, came out in the center court at one of the TV timeouts in the first half, really fired up the crowd. As if you know Pat Fitzgerald, he was like totally on brand. So that's kind of what he expected, a ton of energy. So I guess, where do you want to start, Rod? And I guess before that, obviously, thanks for everyone just tuning in already. Please tell us where you are. Get into the conversation. We appreciate it. So where do you want to start, Rod?
Well, I think you start at a point of the game that we highlighted in the preview was going to matter a lot, and that was the point guard spot, right? And This was, I saw somebody, I think it was Ant Wright on Twitter, which, God help me, has actually started to grow on me as a Twitter follow. But anyway,
people mature, people get better.
As he pointed out, this matchup, and I think it's because there were these 3 games tonight with huge, national programs like Major League. You have Carolina at Duke. You got Carolina at Kentucky. Sorry.
Right.
You've got UConn at Kansas. Both of those are still going on as we record. And then I was able to watch the end of Florida at Duke, which was a tremendous finish.
Yeah, we were listening to it in the car. Yeah.
Duke winning by a point. And I think because of that, the Bennett Stirtz Jeremy Fears matchup didn't get the amount of attention it probably merited. Now I'm just talking nationally, not that any of that matters really in the end, but you're starting to see national people fully understanding what those of us who pay attention to Michigan State on a daily basis already knew, which is Jeremy Fears is having a massive season. Massive. And so when you consider that and you say he's squaring up against a guy who was, the darling of the mid-major ranks last year in Stirtz, had a great season at Drake.
Yep.
Has been pretty much as expected, high level so far at Iowa. Well, that's about as good a point guard matchup as we've seen so far this season anywhere in the country. Because I don't think Braden Smith's played anybody yet that's at the level of these two guys. I mean, I can't remember who it was who had a top 10 player, National Player of the Year ranking the other day. It was a day or two ago. And Jeremy was number 10. I think Stirtz was number 7. Mm-hmm. Struck me as about right.
Yeah. I think so.
But so we knew going in, that's going to matter. Well, it sure did matter. And Jeremy Fears, maybe not a knockout, but a TKO for sure. Technical knockout. Jeremy Fears won that battle. He won that battle from the point that Stirtz hit that first shot he took, the 3. Mm-hmm. From that point forward, it was all Jeremy Fears. Yeah. And that is as impressive as he's been in this run of games where, I think he did a great job playing against an extremely talented kid, and I know how good this guy is in Darius Acuff when Arkansas came in. And then, Kentucky and North Carolina don't have that level of point guard, but the fact is Jeremy Fears controlled those games completely, controlled them.
Yeah.
But this was something else because even though Iowa top to bottom does not have the talent that those three teams I just mentioned have, their point guard, I would say, is better than any of them. He's more mature than Acuff. Acuff's got a better NBA future, I think, but you'd take Stirtz over any of them right now.
Sure, yeah.
And so that creates a real challenge for Jeremy, right? Now, did it look to you like he took that challenge seriously? It did to me.
Yeah, I think it's 10 for 10 from the line. It shows the focus that he had in that game.
He was fantastic.
Yeah.
And look, they didn't shut the kid down, but I mean, he was very inefficient. I think he was 4 for 10 from the floor. He didn't live at the line the way he's capable of. And even I think that was the moment where I
that was telling,
sure
I think.
They got him. When he missed those 2 free throws, I think he's like a 90% or close
85.
To that.
Yeah, he missed 3 in a row, which
very,
actually
very
reminds
good free throw shooter.
Before you go further, jump in on www.slido.com, hashtag TIFNAS, TFFIONTS, vote to see what you think, whether they kept Stirtz in the gutter, since we're talking about Stirtz. But go ahead, Rod.
Yeah. When he missed those 2 free throws, that just, I said on the Spartan board earlier, it was Jeremy Fears took Sturtz's heart out of his body and showed it to him. And I really do think he was
rattled for sure.
He was absolutely rattled. And, another point that we spent some time talking about, and this goes beyond Stirtz, but it applies to him mostly because he's the lead guy, right? But we spent some time in the preview talking about Ben McCollum's never been in an environment like this. Only one of his players, Hausen, who didn't play much, played a little bit in the first half and got some stuff done, and then I don't think he played in the second. I don't understand that, but be that as it may, that team, basically top to bottom, had never been in an environment like that. And sometimes that happens to you.
Yeah.
When you're not used to it, and all of a sudden now look, I'm talking to somebody who pays a lot more attention in the Missouri Valley than probably any of our listeners or me. I know there are some great home court environments in the Missouri Valley.
Nothing like this, not even close.
I don't mean to discount it, but this is something else. And unfortunately for Iowa, it also happened to be on the night when Pat Fitzgerald is announced. And whatever you think of Pat Fitzgerald as a football coach, I think the thing that's undoubtable is he's going to give you a performance like he did at that press conference today and then at that game.
Yeah.
They showed most of it on the game, and then I've since seen all of it. The couple bits they cut out of the broadcast. And you were there. I mean, what was it like? It seemed like the roof was getting raised.
Yeah, I mean, before the game, he's out on the court maybe 5 minutes before, doing the raise his hand, raise the roof sort of thing, and people are going, crazy. And then he came out. I think it was like the under 8 that he came out.
It was in the first 12. Half.
Yeah. And it didn't say anything profound except, did a go green, go white, led that cheer, which, and then just kind of just said, we're going to, we got, you guys are the reason that they're ahead now because of those last 2 buckets are all you.
But we heard all that. If you watched the game, you heard all that.
But
that
it was.
But what was it like in the building?
I mean, there's electricity. I mean, there's no question. And we'll just talk briefly about Pat Fitzgerald just for a second. He's clearly a guy who gets it. Like,
100%.
He understands like the culture. He understands the cheer. I mean, those are little things, but it just seemed like a guy who you would have guessed he actually went to school there. I mean, so you'd expect that from the Big Ten, but some people coach in the Big Ten for a long time. They still don't understand what's going on in other schools. Right.
I think that, and then we'll leave football for the people who cover football regularly. But I will say, I don't know for sure that Pat Fitzgerald is going to get this program back to anything close to where Mark D'Antonio had it. I hope so. But I know this. there's a formula for big success at Michigan State in football. I would say in basketball too. That you'd better meet, you'd better adhere to, because I haven't seen the other way get it done. And when you think about and D'Antonio was not the same guy. Obviously,
No,
Pat's a lot more boisterous, but
Yeah.
nobody ever doubted how seriously Mark D'Antonio took things, how much he cared, the way he handled Michigan, treated him like a rag doll for
Yeah.
majority of his tenure.
Yeah.
That's how that bunch of people need to be treated. The way Mark D'Antonio treated them is exactly what they deserve, and it's how you have to handle it. And I think that Pat Fitzgerald is going to get that immediately. He doesn't need a primer. He doesn't need somebody to cut. I read something, it was either today or yesterday, and I think Jonathan Smith has given no indication that he's anything but a really good person, and I do think he's a good football coach. You can't do what he did at Oregon State and not be a good football coach.
Right.
He's just the wrong guy for this. And that's where Pat Fitzgerald has, again, will he win the way we hope? We don't know. But I know the total package is the one that you have to have if you're going to succeed at Michigan State. It just is. Because Michigan's is, and then I'll end it. I think Michigan State people, especially in the early stages of a coaching regime, will accept some losing. They will not accept you not showing that it bothers you and that you care.
Yep. You have to meet the fans where they are.
Mark D'Antonio's most famous moment, the one that just endeared him to came after a loss.
Yeah.
So
those are the things that people remember. And this goes back to Trey Hallman, pushing those guys off the Spartan logo. That's part of it. That's how you win the hearts of this fan base. I mean, naturally in like a rivalry and
don't transfer away, you might lose them, but
right.
You're right.
No, but
right.
Those are the things that people remember, and that they give you rope, at least give you opportunity to get done what you need to get done, which that's one thing Jonathan Smith was unable to do.
If they believe that you care, you will get it happened. George Perlis got, took him 5 years to fully get to get to the Rose Bowl, but people never doubted how much he cared. D'Antonio, it took a few years for him to get his thing established. People never doubted how much he cared. Jonathan Smith, just the kind of person that he is not going to give you that. And that doesn't work at Michigan State. It can work at other places, I'm certain. Doesn't work at Michigan State. So anyway, I was curious how, because it seemed like it was just incredible when he was out there.
I mean, that's aside from the crowd never gets louder, unfortunately, I think a little bit for the brick and for chicken. It was the first free throw, but it was about as loud as the president can get, I think. I don't think you can get any
that's
louder.
That's how it seemed. And so the reason we got into all this is that gets added to the uphill sledding that Iowa's got to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Because as you said, it didn't happen at halftime where I thought it might. It happens in the middle of the game in a timeout.
Yeah, when people are still around, they're not in the bathroom and getting concessions. Yeah, everybody was in the stands.
Yeah.
It's smart that way.
I think it definitely got all of it: the crowd, the atmosphere, and most importantly, Jeremy Fears and his teammates. Because Jeremy had help. You have to when you're dealing with ball screens. It's not going to be just one guy, but Jeremy was the ringleader, clearly. It got to Stirtz. That means it got to Iowa. And you watch Iowa more than I do. To me, it seemed pretty much the whole game. I thought they were a little better offensively in the second half, but pretty much for the whole game, they were just out of sync. They never looked comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, they had some open threes, and they just missed those too. I think they just were uncomfortable.
And then there were some I thought they took that just looked like bad shots, which is not them, right?
No, it's not typical. Yeah, well, I think I was saying throughout I think I said your message. Stirtz did it. Iowa had I'll confess I don't watch every Iowa game. I'm not locked in, their offensive strategy seemed different than usual. Like they were not playing with Stirtz of the ball as a point guard
I noticed
most of the
that.
first half. It was very
They
interesting.
had
He was
him
always
off the ball a lot.
Yeah, he's off ball. And I'm not quite sure what the reason was for that. I don't think it helped because I think he was a little bit more passive than he should have been. I mean, he's their best player. He's the one who creates. And so he wasn't able to create without the ball, obviously. And so I think that's how they struggled a little bit on offense. And then defensively, similarly, he was not on Jeremy Fears, and it allowed Jeremy Fears to get comfortable and start just carving up the Hawkeye defense. And Sturtz, you could see it's quick hands. I mean, he had a couple steals, I think. He was definitely caused some trouble in there. But anyway,
on that latter point, and I read a couple of things that Ben McCollum said in his post game. He didn't, at least I didn't see anything that spoke directly to what you're talking about. But I would say on the defensive side, at least, the one thing I could see is, and I know that Iowa's a team this year has not been foul heavy, and Sturtz is a smart player, but you also know coming in, Michigan State's playing at home, and Jeremy Fears will bait anyone in committing fouls, right? So
yes.
I could see the sense in them saying, hey, let's put him on. I think he was covering Kerr to begin with.
Yes.
And then, whoever was playing the 2 guard frequently. But I could see the sense in that, in saying, well, we want to keep him, one, we want to keep him fresher. 2, we want to keep him out of foul trouble. Probably
right.
The second point I mentioned being the more important of those 2. Offensively, though, I'm with you. It was strange. And I've only seen a little bit of Iowa up until this game, but it stuck out to me. It's like, why is their point guard not actually playing as their point guard for much of this game? Didn't make any sense to me. I'm sure there was a reason. Ben McCollum hasn't won the way he has by being a dummy. I'm sure there was a motivation behind it, but regardless, I don't think it helped anything. And you may be right. That may be part of why Sturtz struggled, because he didn't get into the game that way. But I also think Michigan State just played a tremendous defensive game. Now, to the kid's credit.
Yeah.
He had a couple shots in that second half, which were really well guarded, and he still hit them. He had that 3 in the corner.
Oh, yeah.
It was contested.
He's really good.
Well, that tells you what he is as a player, right? When you can make a play like that through good defense, you could play. So he's not going to have many nights like that, but he's also not going to have many nights where he's playing a guy like Jeremy Fears or playing in an atmosphere like Breslin.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue he's played in bigger venues in the sense he played the NCAA tournament, won their first round game, but not an environment like that, as a hostile place. Never in the Missouri Valley is any place like that. Right. No, I mean, for sure, nothing's like that in D2. Even Arch Madness championship game for Missouri Valley is not that. There's never been a place where he's played like that. And I will, it's interesting. We were talking about McCollum before and how he would be intimidated. I don't think he was intimidated by the situation, but I think McCollum, and I could be totally off base, I think he outsmarted himself in this game, because I think the fact they were having Sturtz play off the ball, they were having him play defensively different than usual. Like usually he does not play the small. I think they were sort of one of those teams where they're very successful, but they get to a game that's a big game and they try and play a different way to surprise the other team, or to throw them off.
Yeah,
and I wonder if he just sort of like he just threw his team sort of out into disarray a little bit. They weren't sort of doing what they normally do. Now I could be wrong. Maybe he's been more like that more often. Maybe we have some Iowa fans watching. I doubt it, but maybe. No, I know they watch.
I think it's a fair question at least to ask, because we've already talked about a couple of things that were noticeably different in terms of the way his best player was being utilized. That's strange. He did say apparently in the post game that he didn't feel he did a good job of preparing his team. Now, I thought that probably spoke more to dealing with the physicality, maybe dealing with the environment too. Who knows? I didn't see it get more specific than that. But yeah, if it did, I'll ask you this, since you saw more of Drake than I did last year. Did he ever do that last season with Drake?
They always look the same to me. I never remember them playing differently. But did I watch every Drake game? No. But like when they play in the Missouri Valley tournament, like, Arch Madness, they look the same. Most of the games I watched, they pretty much had the same action, and it was pretty much Stirtz ball heavy. So I this may be one of those things where he just, this is a learning experience for him too, right? Like you try and do something.
He said, well,
tricky.
that's the other thing I saw that he said is that he said he was really glad to have played this game because it was a great opportunity to learn. And that's probably as true for him as it is for his team.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, and that was something that I think we kind of felt going into this is, all right, this is a team that largely, not entirely, but largely is Drake from last season.
Yes.
A lot of success, a lot of winning.
Yep.
Great start to this season, even though they hadn't really played a heavyweight yet. Still, they got a couple high major wins. It was not, I don't think it's been a fraudulent start for them.
No, I think they are who they, statistically, I think so. Yeah.
This is, as one of the great posters on the Spartan Mag board, Rook 34 said in a thread he started, he said, "This isn't the Missouri Valley, guys," or I'm paraphrasing, but words to that effect. And that was on display. This is not the Missouri Valley. Missouri Valley is a really good basketball league at the mid-major level. But what it doesn't present you with is what Michigan State brings. It does not present you with that size, that physicality combined with that athleticism. You do not see that at that level. You barely see it in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's true.
We know that, right? And so it had to be very, very eye-opening. Now, Izzo said he felt Iowa was a more physical team the first 8-10 minutes. And then after that, he was very proud of the way his team responded. I didn't think, Tom Izzo knows more, has forgotten more than any of us know about this stuff, but I didn't think Iowa was necessarily the more physical team. I thought Michigan State wasn't as focused as they needed to be, because that's where the turnover problems really showed up, was early.
They weren't strong with the ball, getting poked away.
Yeah, exactly. They were not strong enough with the ball, and we talked about that this is what Iowa does. They got active hands. They cause a lot of turnovers, and so Michigan State didn't. That may have been what he felt. I didn't think it showed up in any other way that Iowa was more physical or tougher, but in that way maybe it did. But then once Michigan State got that handled, it was off to the races. So I'm there in the game with my Hawkeye fan, right? My wife's there. She was in her muted Hawkeye outfit, just wearing black, but she wasn't ready to wear the black and gold. Plausible deniability.
Right? Yeah, especially if you're a woman, you can kind of go to a different color, and people are like, okay, just wearing black, or kind of like gray. But like we've been to. For years, she hated going to the Iowa game because, of course, she's a Michigan State fan every game except when they play Iowa. Right. And for her, usually for a long time when you go to these games, I mean, I would get rolled, whether it was when Alford would come, certainly Licklider, when Fran came for many years until kind of near the end, and then again near the end. I mean, they would just lose by a gazillion points. It was like not even competitive oftentimes.
Right.
And Iowa got rolled today. I mean, you can't say anything else, right? They lost by over 20 or 19.
By 19, yeah.
But they did not get rolled like they weren't. It wasn't like they were just getting, they were like lacking effort, or they were not playing hard, or they just looked like a team that sort of discombobulated on offense. And defensively, they just didn't have the horses. I mean,
that's it.
There are different ways I've watched Iowa lose that game by 35 or something, and they looked like they didn't belong in the court. It did not feel that way at all to me. I think Iowa's a legitimate team. They're going to win a lot of games. I mean, they might go 500 or be even better than 500 in the league. It's hard to know, but they're going to give some, it'll be good for them. I turned around and said, this will be good for them because they're going to Ames in about 10 days.
Right.
So take on Iowa State. That's gonna be a tough game, but now they've, nothing they see there's gonna be worse than what they saw here. So they should be ready for it at least.
No, 100%. And look, I would be, we've going back to last season, I think we both felt pretty strongly that this was a near perfect hire for Iowa to make.
Yeah. Right.
If it's ever going to happen, this is the guy a guy they could get and a guy that has shown that he can win without necessarily going out and landing elite talent.
Mm-hmm.
But you could say that well, he wins with, under recruited guys, blah, blah, blah. And of course, there's truth to that. But there are some non-negotiables if you're going to compete in the Big Ten. And he doesn't yet have a roster that allows him. And when I say compete, I don't mean, he's not going to win games. I just mean compete enough to be able to walk into East Lansing against a Michigan State team that's as locked in as this one and have a shot to win.
Right.
Physically, they are not at that level. They don't have the horses. Yeah. I suspect they're going to get the horses over time. And again, that doesn't mean I think they're going to go out and get McDonald's All-Americans, but you don't have to. No. What, Carson Cooper wasn't a McDonald's All-American. He was a 0-star, right? But that's the kind of guy you got to have if you're going to compete for championships in the Big Ten. Inside, Iowa does not have a Carson Cooper. They don't have a Jackson Kohler. They don't have a Cam Ward. Arguably, they don't even have a Jesse McCollum.
Yep.
Where they are right now. That's going to take him a little bit of time. I think for this season, I do think they're going to learn from this. I suspect that they are going to figure out ways to play with a little more physicality and a little more toughness. There are going to be nights in this league where they can try as hard as they want. It's not going to matter. But I also think there are going to be nights in this league where they're going to get it figured out and they're going to beat people because they do manage to play hard enough, physically enough to get it done. But going back to Michigan State, I just think from if you wanted to show someone a game, said this is the blueprint of how this program plays, the things they want to do. It probably wasn't every single thing because they didn't get a chance to really run much. But man, in terms of physicality, toughness, and the things that usually come from that, which are defense and rebounding, you could do a lot worse than show people this one. And that was a team effort. And I think it was really impressive. There were guys who, we don't yet at least think about as, defensive stalwarts who were making defensive plays. I like Kurt Tang had a decent game defensively and in terms of hustle plays.
Yeah.
Trey Fort, as you said, I gather he was a little ill.
Sounds like he had the flu and was
explained why he had more limited minutes than we would have thought. But I thought Trey Fort had a couple nice defensive plays in this game. They got a lot out of a lot of people. Yeah. Jesse McCollum, and look, there was a moment or two where Jesse didn't do what he was supposed to do defensively, but I'm not worried about that. I'm really
he's looking better every game.
Offensively, you see it. I mean, this is a kid with a huge offensive upside. I mean, the things that he can do offensively, it's been a long time since Michigan State's had a big man that was that skilled. I mean, I'm probably going to regret saying this, but the last guy that Michigan State had as a 5-man that I thought I'm going to take Jaren Jackson out of it because he was a freak and he was only a 1-year guy. The last guy that I thought had that combination of offensive skills and potential was probably Adrian Payne. I can't think of another one.
Paul Davis? I don't know.
No. I'm talking. Well, Paul Davis is before that. I mean, AP was the last guy.
Oh yeah. Okay,
gotcha. If you take Jaren out of the mix, that's. I mean, honestly, and we're not. He's not. Jesse is so far from reaching his ceiling. I was really impressed with the game he played offensively. The broadcasters made a good point, and I thought they were right. What was maybe most impressive about it is a couple of those baskets he had. he displayed incredible patience. He didn't take the first opportunity that was there. He took his time and he made the right. It was really impressive. Jordan Scott out there doing Jordan Scott things, and he hit a 3, which was great.
Yes. Yeah.
But he just, he obviously had to step in to a bigger role for 2 reasons, because they were down Trey Fort mostly, but they were also down Cam Ward. I think that factored in a little bit.
Yep.
But Jordan did all the things I've loved watching him do so far this season. Playing defense, getting on the floor, he had a putback for a bucket on offensive rebound, just doing all those little things. I thought
Divine had half your steals with 2 out of the 4 steals for Michigan State.
Divine did a solid job. The guy who I thought played really well, and nobody would have been expecting it, I thought Denham Wojcik played a really good game.
Right. He gave a lot of relief.
Really good game.
Yeah. Yeah.
We talked about it. I think we had a little bit of a text exchange at halftime. And I had said I was very surprised to see those minutes. And I will not lie, I was a little bit concerned that, that might be the point that you let Stirtz get some confidence built. Did not happen. And again, that's no knock on Denham. It's just Denham's smaller than Jeremy. So he's given up probably 5-6 inches to Stirtz. That's the kind of matchup where he could even be guarding him well, and it doesn't matter, But he hung in there, didn't let that happen. And the offense, I didn't think missed a beat.
No,
when he was
fine.
I thought he looked really good. Again, I'm not arguing for Denham to get a bigger role necessarily.
No.
But boy, when you can look at a guy like that coming into a Big Ten game and holding it down that way, it does give you some level of confidence that if in a given game you had some weird foul trouble or something and you needed 5 minutes out of him, I think you've got some reason to think, they might be able to just hold the fort down.
Yeah.
And that's as much as you would ever ask of a guy in his position. So I thought that was really good. I thought Cohen, after the first half, was just, again, one of those kind of, where is he sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Really showed up in the second. Really showed up. Made some loud plays, hit his free throws, did all the things that we want to see him do. So I was encouraged to see that out of him. Jackson Kohler, what's new, a double-double.
Blah, blah.
And it wasn't even a great game for him.
No, I don't
think
so.
He was 5 for 12 from the floor, and especially early, he and Coop missed, between the two of them, there were probably 4 plays at the rim that should have been.
That's where he felt like he wanted Ward out there. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I said the same thing. Like, if we'd had Cam Ward out there to show people how you finish.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, Jack's had, with the struggles early, he had some great offensive moments too. And obviously the rebounding, he does what he always does. I think the one guy you would say, maybe the only guy that you would say probably doesn't feel great about the way he played in this one is Carson Cooper, which says something about the level he's been playing at. But I mean, I do think as much as anybody, he got affected by Iowa's ball pressure in the early stage of that game. He ended up with 5 turnovers.
Well, so he was also put in bad situations a couple times that were turnovers, but past his feet. But and also defensively, he's asked to do so much more than anyone else on that. I mean, to try and contain Stirtz and stuff. So he was
I'm not saying it was a disastrous game.
No, right?
I'm just saying by the standards that he's set for himself,
right,
this year, it was not a great night. But yet, he did things that contributed to winning, for sure. And obviously, Michigan State was able to handle it just fine. So even that, on an off night for Carson, MSU still cruises. So, I mean, individually, Curtay, I alluded to him earlier. I thought played a pretty good game defensively. And then once again, made some shots,
Yeah.
and looks confident doing it. So
Yep.
that was a nice thing to see out of him. So it really was. This wasn't one of those games where somebody goes out and drops 25. This was a solid team effort, pretty much top to bottom. And, we should not fail to mention when you do that on a night where you don't have Cam Ward and you've got Trey Fort is basically not there.
I think there are a couple who had in flu. It wasn't just Trey Ford, but he was the most affected, I think. But anyway, whatever.
And it's interesting you say that. I'm going to run this one out there, see what you think. I was wondering if Jeremy might have been, and you couldn't tell by the way he played. The only reason I say it is they rested him a lot.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot.
Yeah,
that's
more than you expect
Denham
up 14, right?
As he did. Huh?
Oh, I agree with you. I mean, like you wouldn't expect Woj to come in with a 14-point lead with like 3 minutes left in the first half. Like you would expect that Jeremy's still going to be out there. You would be resting him.
I say that, then I'm looking at Jeremy did play 30 minutes.
Yeah.
But it just seemed like watching it, he was sitting more than we're used to seeing.
I agree. Well, that is more than he used.
Yeah. So you wonder if maybe there's a little bit of a thing going on within the team. Hopefully it's all cleared up by Saturday afternoon. But just a really top to bottom, you could not ask for a better start. And I think to Big Ten play. And I think that you feel better about this too, as opposed to, for whatever reason, Michigan State, it seems in the years since they've moved to this 2 games in December thing with league play, I don't think this is anecdotal on my part. It seems like Michigan State has generally started with lesser teams.
Yes, they have. No, I totally agree. Yeah, they don't play Michigan. They're not playing Purdue, Illinois. We talked about this before too. Yeah, they're playing the marquee matchups in the Big Ten are left for when it really starts in January. So this is a bigger game. I mean, the only other time you'd say they had a tough game was when they had Wisconsin come in, and when they dropped both, and they went to Nebraska and lost that one and started 0-2.
But that was, the Nebraska thing shouldn't have been. That was on Michigan State.
I should bring that audio out of the dust that off. Your rant.
Oh, the game. Oh, Jesus. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard you so mad.
Yeah. But this was a good challenge. I mean, again, we don't know yet. Where is Iowa going to fit in that middle of the pack kind of thing? I could see, look, it wouldn't shock me if you said, oh, Iowa goes, 11-9, 12-8. It wouldn't totally shock me yet. No. I could see the flip side of that. But either way, this was a quality opponent that with what everybody believes is one of the best players in America on the roster at the point where it really matters. And Michigan State just, from about probably the 6 or 7 minute mark of the first half, just
it was over at that point. Yeah,
held them off the whole way, and they never got close. And that's really it's a better feeling than having Penn State come in and winning by 25. Right. And you just
I think last year they beat Nebraska or Washington by was it Washington?
Yeah,
that was early in the year, but that was like.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. This was it was a laugher. It was a 19-point win, but it was a 19-point win that I think actually demonstrates something. It further buttresses the case that they've made over the last several weeks as to how good a team this is.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And they definitely, and I think, Bartorik, they, despite not shooting the 3 well, which, they only took 12, so they had 3 of 12. They still 175 out of whatever. They're still averaging 33%. Their defense is now up to, I think, 6th.
They're 3rd now in KenPom.
3rd, right?
They were 6th. They were 6th
overall.
The game. They were 6th overall entering the game. They're now 3rd.
Right, but the 6th overall, offense, defense, on Bartorik. Yeah, I don't know what KenPom is.
Yeah,
Top
so they're 10 now. Top 10.
Yeah. So
it's all it's all there. There's no arguing with it at this point. Michigan State has done everything you would ask of a team if you were saying, demonstrate to me that you should be taken seriously as a title contender in your league and a Final Four contender in March.
Yeah.
It's December 2nd. So it doesn't mean the world, but they've done everything you would ask a team that wanted to be taken seriously in those ways to do. And that's what they've accomplished. So great start. And, at this point, they know, I think they, more than any other team in this league, other than perhaps Purdue, they know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
People might say that about Michigan. No, Michigan does not know who they are.
They're still figuring things out. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't know like this team does. And that matters. You can lean on that. So, very, very happy. I'm very, very satisfied with what I saw. There are certain things, like you mentioned, you'd like to shoot the three better. Something else that I don't think we had as a key, but you mentioned or alluded to, after it's been absent for a few games, Michigan State did a great job getting to the line and then cashed in, 88%, 22 of 25. That is both of those numbers. The percentage and the number of attempts were outstanding.
Yeah. They're like 72% of the season now, when they were, low 60s early in the year. But that also kind of is an example, shows you how many free throws they were shooting earlier, that you shoot 22 or 25 and you've only gone up like 3%.
Yeah, but that was really, really good to see. And obviously Jeremy Fears, 10 for 10. He was the ringleader. He had almost half the makes.
Right.
But a lot of guys, Cohen Carr looking better.
5 for 5.
Jordan Scott. They had some guys step up and make free throws. And I think that's what you want to see. You want to see that level of aggression. So that was a good sign as well.
Yeah. That's how they were really scoring all their points initially in the game. The first half, I feel they had more free throw points than they did field goals for a while.
They did. It was funny. Michigan, at the point Michigan State had taken the lead and kind of started to kick it out to like 4 or 6. They flashed a graphic on the screen, said something like Michigan State field goal less streak. And it was like almost 4 minutes.
Oh,
and I thought, that's true, but who cares? They're still scoring.
Yeah,
scoring at the line. It was a strange time for that to pop up, because normally you would put that up when the team has not put points on the board. They were scoring. They just weren't scoring from the floor during that stage.
Yeah.
So anyway.
All right. Well, let's move along here and talk about I know it's winter, but make sure those gutters are functioning properly. And there's no better person to call than the brothers at Just Two Gutters. Whether you're on the east side or the west side of the state, Kurt and Greg will take care of you. You get 10% off for mentioning Final Four when you get your estimate. You can do that at our support page, of course, at the Final Four is not in the schedule.com/support, or if you're lazy, tffinots.com/support. They will clean them out. They're going to replace them, repair them, whatever you need done, whether it's your home, your business, or there's a gutter, they can take care of it. It's not sexy. Have them take care of the things and get on those ladders. And so you don't have to, especially in this sort of weather, but they're out right now. As long as they can get to the gutters, they'll get the job done. So contact them today. They'll take care of things. And they sponsor a player that Michigan State needs to keep in the gutter, which, of course, you followed my wife's suggestion. That should be Bennett Stirtz. He finishes 14 points. He's 4-10 from the field, 3 for 8 from 3, 3 for 6 from the line. He missed those 3 in a row in the first half. Two defensive rebounds, 4 assists, 4 turnovers, 2 steals, and 0 blocks. I think he averaged about 2 steals a game, and you saw it with the quick hands, especially early in the first half. And then, but the assist turnover ratio, way, way, way below what he normally is. A 1-to-1 is not where. And I had written down, the first half, he was really, he came back in the second half, but at halftime, he had 4 points. He's 1 for 5 from the field, 1 for 4 from the free throw line, 1 for 4 from 3, and 3 assists to 4 turnovers. And so, that also shows he just had 1 assist in the second half. It's not like he did a whole lot more. I'll let you tell me what you think they kept him in the gutter or not, but that's about as gutter as he's ever going to play, I think.
with that kid, yes, I would totally agree with that. I'm just, as we're talking, I wanted to
We'll see what people
take a
voted
look
here in a
at
second
something.
here.
Yeah.
I'll bring that up here. We'll see what everyone else thought. Yeah, it looks like most people clogged the downspout, mostly stopped. 50%, kept in the gutter completely, a third, and then 17%.
Wow.
So got through.
You're not.
We're still getting some bigger. We need some bigger numbers for the poll, but I think most people thought they did a good job holding them down. Gutter or almost gutter.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt. I mean, here's the thing that I look at too. He took 10 shots in this game. He averages 12. So he was 2 under his average field goal attempts for the season. And I would suggest, if you're Iowa, I got to believe you would figure this is a game you want him shooting more than average, because not less, because he's your best player. So the fact that he didn't even get to his average number of field goal attempts, that tells a story in and of itself. In addition to the fact that he was only 4 for 10 from the floor. Now, he did end up 3 for 8, I think, from 3. The last one was a ridiculous shot. I mean, I give him credit, but it was well guarded.
Yeah.
And he still hit it. So, okay. It was like one of those NBA things where you play great defense and the guy just has better offense. But the turnovers, not letting them live at the line, limiting the field goal attempts, all of it. They didn't completely shut him down, but I'm still going to say they kept him in the gutter.
Yeah,
that is far removed from the kind of game Iowa needed from him to have a chance to compete in this one.
Without a doubt. Yep, no question. Yeah, so John Hammer's like, thank you both. I think I found MSU basketball home here. Thanks, John. And CJ Haddad, I agree. Some of the only sane basketball podcast hosts. So we appreciate it, guys. The voting is open now for the MSU player of the game. So head on over to slido.com. Again, TIFKnots is the hashtag. Let's see how many votes we can get. We've got to get people interacting. I know it's kind of tough. If you're not on 2 devices, it's a little bit tough to try and to vote. All right. So that brings us to the rebounding challenge. So brought to you by the Squeegee Squad of Grand Rapids. Interestingly, I had lunch today with Troy, who runs the Squeegee Squad. Great Spartan. He's got some interesting things going on, which we'll have to announce later once it actually happens. But we talked a lot of Michigan basketball and his business and Squeegee Squad. And I was not aware that the Squeegee Squad is active all year long. Like January, they're doing windows, which, so whenever you need it done, they'll take care of it. And it's the greater Grand Rapids area, of course, includes Kent County, Muskegon, Ottawa County. And, in the area, just contact him because he's got people who can kind of go long distances too. He doesn't just work in the Grand Rapids area. So give Troy and his team a call. They do fantastic work, great pricing, and they get 15% off to Spartans like you if you just mention Final Four. So head on over to our support page at tffinots.com/support and get them to take care of it. And so they sponsor, obviously, Player Cleans the Glass the Best. And when Cam Ward was out, I'm like, I didn't even really pay much attention in the game. And then Kohler had a bunch. I didn't even write down the number. So you're up 4-3. I have it on the screen. Kohler had 11 rebounds, and I could have taken 3 players, and I guess maybe I could have got it with 3. So I had Carr, so he had 5, and of course Ward had 0 because he didn't play. I had Cooper, who had 5, and you had Carr, so you had 16-5. So it was a runaway.
Wow.
But you could have taken Nick Sanders and Kohler still won. Yeah.
Decisive.
Yeah. The guys next to me like, what do you think?
It's a tough break. It's a tough break not having Cam, but I suspect it probably wouldn't have made a difference in this one, although you can never tell what impact he would have had on the numbers other guys put up. So
that's true. Well, you can't know the counterfactual, but the guys next to me are like, do you think he'll give you a pass? I'm like, Rod's ruthless. He's not going to give me a pass.
No, they all count.
They all count. That's what I said. He'd absolutely say, "Oh, they all count."
Well, it's big for me because you really, as we've talked about, you really want to win your Kohler day.
Right. Exactly.
If you lose your Kohler day, that's a big problem.
Right. It's a big problem. Yeah. So 4-3, I'll get to pick first next game. We'll see if I bounce back against Duke. So, which brings us to the keys to the game brought to you by Nudge Printing. again, Nudge Printing is a place you go for Michigan State gear. It's still plenty of time to get, and I don't know if Black Friday is still going on. They might have Cyber. Well, I'm not sure if they need deals right now.
Cyber Monday's come and gone too, right? But
Come and gone too. But some people
seems like it all just drags on forever.
Yeah, everyone wants to get those sales in. So, but head over to nudgeprinting.com. Gaming's team will have fantastic stuff there. You can go to nudgeprinting.com/win, and there you can enter for free a $100 North Face Gruff Sparty backpack. So if you got someone in your life who wants a backpack, or everybody needs a backpack at some point, whether you're going on vacation or something like that. So head on over there, totally free to enter. So again, that's at nudgeprinting.com/win. While you're there, you can peruse all the stuff, 20% off all the really great gear like I've got right now. Super comfortable. And type in TIFNOTS. That's the new code to get a 20% off. So that's TFFINOTS as a coupon code at checkout. You'll be glad you did. It's just fantastic stuff, all made here in Michigan and Portland. All right, so the first key of the game was rebounding. So Michigan State won this. Let's see. So the raw numbers, they won 37-18. So they had more than twice as many rebounds as Iowa. 13-6 offensive rebounding rate, or offensive rebounds. And then for rebounding rate, Michigan State with a 56% offensive rebounding rate, Iowa with a 22%. And that they were like at 14 at halftime. And so they actually got a couple late. Otherwise,
they got some fluky ones.
Kind of when the Waltons are playing and stuff. So so absolutely complete smash domination. And I don't recall the second chance points, but I think that was,
21-6.
Yeah, 26. So that, that was the game you could argue in some ways.
It really was. We said, I'm not surprised by what Michigan State did on its defensive glass. We talked about that.
Right.
I was not
great. Yeah.
They're not a terrible offensive rebounding team, but by Big Ten standards, if you're outside of the top 100, you're not great. And that's where they are.
They're 175 now.
But man, Iowa has done a good job on its defensive glass. Very solid. And Michigan State tattooed them.
Yeah, they got pumped.
This is for as good a rebounding team as Michigan State was last year, and they were really good. I'm beginning to think this team is better.
I don't think there's any question. Carr's better. Kohler. Who
Carr's
did they lose?
better, but Kohler and Cooper basically are, maybe they're slightly elevated from last year, but they were great last year. I think we didn't see it today, but Cam Ward makes a difference. They didn't have anybody like Cam last year off the bench like that. And then, as you say, the rest of these guys, the Cohen Carrs, Jordan Scott, when he plays, when he gets minutes, he's going to make an impact. Even Jeremy's had some good games. So it does feel to me like this is rounding into one of the better two-way rebounding teams Izzo's had in a long time. Last year was very, very good that way. I think this group is at least on an early trajectory to maybe be even better. They've played 4 high major opponents so far, right?
Yeah.
2 of them, they've been 50% plus offensive rebounding rate. That's crazy. That is crazy good. When you are getting 1 of every 2 misses against high major opponents, that is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, they're doing. They are more Michigan State than a team. Even last year, which we thought it felt more like a Michigan State, sort of with the way they're playing and stuff. This feels like even more of a Michigan State team.
Absolutely,
we've had, and it's been a while since we've had this sort of domination on the boards and the running game. Although you didn't see that exhibited today, but it's
both rebounding and defense. It's
defensively
and the running too. All of it. You're right. The traits that we have traditionally known to be what Michigan State is best at and emphasizes are all there.
Yeah. All right. So the second key to the game was ball security. This is something that was, a real problem for Michigan State early in that half. They had 5 turnovers. They only ended up with, I think they tied Iowa in turnovers in the first half at 7 apiece.
They did,
which was kind of a surprise for a while because they were really just, coughing it up every other possession. It seemed like at the very beginning of the half. They ended up with 14 turnovers, which is kind of high for them. It's not, that's not a disaster. For as far as points off turnovers, looks like it's 18-15 edge from Iowa. Not much of an edge because they had quite a few turnovers too. Bennett Stirtz had 4 turnovers, which is really uncharacteristic for him. He had 11. Carry the ball.
They had 11 as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that they're going to be disappointed with that number. They had Jackson Kohler on the post game interview with the broadcast team, and that was the thing he locked on to. As he said, that's not good enough, and he's right. And a lot of we talked about Carson for whatever reason, just really struggled. I thought with their ball pressure, and that matters because as we know, Michigan State really needs to and wants to utilize their bigs, but particularly Carson, as a ball handling option. That's something Tom Izzo's done for as long as he's been here. And I think Carson has made great strides in that department overall. Today, not a good outing. I think he let Iowa get to him in that way, especially early.
He was really bringing the ball down low, and that's where he gets getting tipped away. Yeah, I think that was part of hurting him.
That was disappointing. Jeremy had 3 turnovers and which is high for him.
Yeah,
and had a weird one that I didn't understand where he just kind of threw it to Iowa. I don't know if it was that he thought he saw something and it wasn't there, what it was, but there were some weird ones. It was early. It was lack of not being strong enough with the ball. And then some weird ones after that. Obviously not nearly enough to make this a competitive game, but that is something you're going to take into Saturday and say, we got to be better.
Right. Yeah, Izzo's always going to find something, but he definitely has some stuff to talk about in this game.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So fourth key to the game is the post. And, I guess the easiest way is just the points in the paint, 34-18 edge for Michigan State. I think, it seemed, well, I guess you could say the first half, there wasn't a huge edge for Michigan State initially, but that's because they weren't able to get much of anything going. So, but it definitely expressed itself later, and especially with the offensive rebounding and then putbacks, that's where they just kind of blew the game open.
Well, I would say it showed itself right out of the chute. The problem was Michigan State wasn't converting.
Well, that's right. They were missing the layups. Yeah,
like
bunnies,
they were getting the opportunities because Iowa really. This is what we were talking about toward the outset of the episode here. There are certain ways in which this Iowa team just is not built for the Big Ten,
right?
In terms of at least what the high end of the Big Ten could present you with, and it's really that it's physicality and ability to just stand toe to toe with guys in the paint and battle. It's not about want to or mindset. It's about a lack of physical tools that are necessary, I think, to do that. I mean, you saw like their big kid, the kid who came over, one of the guys who came over from Drake, their center.
Jervik or something?
No. Their starter.
Fugaris?
Their starter.
Manwayu?
There you go. Yeah. Manyawu. I mean, his numbers weren't horrible. He had 6 rebounds and 6 points. But I just felt through most of that game, and he's their big guy, right? He's their stalwart.
Yeah.
He just kind of swallowed up.
Yeah.
Like he just did not, and that's not a knock on him.
I think he just looks like a 4.
Yeah. He just can't. So I think Michigan State definitely left some stuff out there in the post. It could have been even better, but still pretty hard to be upset with domination like that inside. And I did think as the game went on and they settled into it, they did get better in terms of converting those. Jackson ended up, with enough. Cohen got really active as the second half unfolded. Mm-hmm. I thought it was good to see him doing that. We talked about Jesse McCulloch making some plays. And so it added up to being definitely a positive check mark for MSU in that area.
Yeah, it's interesting. They mentioned here layups. Michigan State was 7 of 10 and Iowa 3 of 9. I'm not exactly sure how they come up with that, but it felt like Michigan State missed more than 3.
I don't like kind of like stat.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know how they come up with those. So the fifth key to the game was football on the hardwood. And I had told you before the game that I thought it was that I would hold up their own in this, and they just didn't. I mean, they were blasted. And again, it wasn't an effort thing, which I've seen sometimes from Iowa. This was just they just were overwhelmed.
You don't have the, so they say it's not the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and Joes, right? And again, that doesn't mean that you have to have elite talent. You can put the kind of team together that can compete in those ways without elite talent. Case in point, when you look back to when Steve Peichel had it going at Rutgers, right? Very few of those guys, especially in the early stages of that thing, were highly rated recruits. But he had guys who could hold their own physically.
Right.
It's something that, and this is where maybe it is a learning curve for Ben McCollum.
Probably
Ben
so.
McCollum has done nothing but win. But now I think after a game like this, and he's going to have more of these as the year goes on, I would think he has to think to himself, well, in this league, what I've done before, what I've emphasized before and thought was sufficient isn't the whole picture anymore. And so that likely, I would think, I'm defaulting to the assumption that he's a smart guy and humble enough to realize when he's got to shift course that he's probably going to need to do that. He's going to need to recruit a little bit different kind of player, at least in terms of his front court.
Exactly.
If you're going to compete, because Michigan State brought focus, effort, toughness, physicality, all the things we thought they would. I mean, I had seen some people worrying about this as a sandwich game. I was never really worried about that.
Right.
This is the Big Ten, and it's Tom Izzo. And it's also, I want to give credit to those core guys, those four
that's
captains.
the thing more than anything. Yeah.
They know what's necessary and what this is about. And boy, they sure didn't take it lightly. And I do think, as much as if you could point to one major difference between these two teams, it is physicality.
Yeah. Well, and I think, with McCollum, as far as, what kind of players he needs in the Big Ten, you see an evolution, you see changing of, how people construct their rosters based on what other people are doing, right? It's like anything else. They sort of, it's an arms race of sorts.
We've seen Purdue in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Purdue's shown that with the big guys.
Big fives.
You got to have big five to compete in lots of these games. You can't have Zach Edey just swallow you up easily. Not that you've got Zach Edey's all the time, but the point is you got to have someone who competes it. And we've seen this with Izzo. He, after that North Carolina game in the NCAA tournament, he's like, yeah, we're too small. We got to get bigger. And then definitely felt it after the Auburn game, clearly, and got a little bit of size in the offseason this year. And so, I mean, even the greats, the Hall of Fame ones, they're always evolving and changing their approach to what they're doing.
And we've already seen what a difference it makes. So you have a game against a team like Carolina that's the fourth tallest team on average in the country in terms of their roster, top to bottom. And Michigan State's got enough size to not to hang with them, to whip them.
Right.
And then in a game like today where Iowa doesn't have enough size, well, that allows Michigan State to impose their will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So let's see what people are thinking as far as player of the game. And let's see, you got just a few votes. Basically, Jeremy Fears, which seems like he's a runaway winner every.
That would be my vote.
Every game, I think everyone agrees there. And again, it's just the way he controls the game and his team. I mean, there's no question about that. His focus, and I think him more than anything else is the reason why I don't expect this team to come out flat ever, because I just don't think he ever comes out flat. I don't. Well, yeah, I mean, allow me, but I don't think he ever does, like himself. And I think that's, part leadership too, like how you come out and show that intensity. 10 for 10 from the line. I think you just saw that from the senior. We're not even, I guess, Cohn's, he's a junior, but those core guys, like you said, they're just not ones who are going to let this happen. And it's not like they can rest on the laurels from last year. Like, we won the national championship. They won the Big Ten, but they didn't get to the Final Four, which I know is what they want, at least. And so they're definitely very hungry, and I'm no question they're enjoying their 8-0 start for the year.
Yeah, it's just so great to see. I mean, it really is. And I think everybody, you should take some time. And I know we talked about this last year, but it's applying again so far this year. Just take a minute to really appreciate what you're seeing, because it's not going to last forever in terms of, Tom Izzo being at the helm and all that. Well, obviously, we all hope that Michigan State continues to be a factor nationally and in the league and all of that. And I think there are reasons to think that that can happen. But man, these are the glory days. This is the golden age that you're going to reminisce about. And it's not just the results. Yeah, the results are a huge part of it, but it's the way they play. It's the way they're going about it. What we saw last year and this year, maybe even more so, is vintage Michigan State basketball, the way we've come to really love it. And I agree with you about the importance of Jeremy Fears as a guy who is not going to accept less from his teammates. And they've done a really good job of assembling the right kind of personalities too. When you look at guys like Jordan Scott and Cam Ward coming into this program, and they look like, name your vintage player of Michigan State in terms of their effort, their toughness, how locked in they are. That's who they're adding to this. And then you see the guys that they have, Cohen and Carson and Jackson. None of them were known when they came to Michigan State. It wasn't part of their reputations as, oh yeah, this guy is he's a dog. He's this is the kind of guy you want in the trenches with you, And that's not a knock on them. I'm just saying that wasn't, whereas Fears it was. But the way those other three guys have grown in that way, hats off, man. It's so much fun to see the way this team is playing and conducting itself, the way they're winning and the manner in which they're winning. Great stuff.
Yeah. Well, there's no better example of culture and what it means to be able to have some continuity from year to year. And especially when you get this, and Izzo now at the point where now he's not going to have people who outcompete him for players like recruits. We're starting to see that, from the recruiting trail with the NIL. As much as he hates it, it has removed a layer of challenge that he'd had on the recruiting trail, right? And because now he can compete again for those recruits that were out of reach before because they were, getting stuff under the table, or whatever. And so, so now he has his pick and he can get the right guys and he can get players who buy into his system and really good players. I mean, I guess you can argue that from a, talent, whatever that is hard to, what that, to know exactly what that means. That maybe there's other teams that might have more talent total, but as far as a team and the way they play, and like you said, how enjoyable it is to watch them. I mean, this is special. This year has gone better than I thought it could have. I mean, I don't think I would have expected them to be 8-0 going into this game. I don't
think. I heard Tom Izzo yesterday, I think it is his pregame press conference, say he didn't expect that. And I believe him. I don't think he was just, blowing smoke. Who would? You're playing the teams that they've played. You wouldn't expect that. You would say, if they had one loss, you'd be feeling great. If they had two losses, you'd probably be feeling okay, depending upon how they happened.
Right.
And here they are at 8-0. And, here comes Duke, also unbeaten.
Right.
Top 10 matchup at Breslin, bring it on. I mean, I will say this. I think Duke's got a good team. I think they've got one great player.
Yep.
I don't think they are a great team. I don't think they're as good as they were last year as a team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Boozer may be as good individually as anybody they had, but their team is not as good. But put that aside, they're plenty good enough to come into Breslin and win. We all know that. But I feel so confident about this Michigan State team. And again, that doesn't mean it's a lock that they win, but I look at it and hey, anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, Izzo was kind of questioning his sanity in this agreeing to the schedule before the season. Now he looks like a genius, and so
right. Well, it's put
It's
you
just,
in, it's put you in position. One, you've learned a lot about your team,
Mhm.
right? That's the
Yep.
most important thing. But the other thing it's doing is we talk about it, generally speaking, in the Big Ten, and if it's a decent Big Ten, which this year definitely is, as long as you take care of business in the league, you'll probably be fine. But there's a difference between being fine and if you want or care about a 1 seed or a 2 seed. And
Right.
we've seen Michigan State get to Final Fours from all over the seed map. So I don't get that worked up about it. But you know what? For the program and for the fan base, I think it matters. People like that. So
Yep.
they have done enough that, as long as they take care of business in the league, they are in great position to be talked about very seriously as a very high seed. And so from that perspective, it's great. The
Yeah.
schedule has worked out, could not have been better. You're playing good teams. And generally speaking, other than Arkansas, you're not just beating them.
You're pounding them.
You're
Yeah.
handling them. Yeah.
Will Cousins, 1054 asked interesting question. So you guys think Izzo's done after Fears leaves? Seems like his perfect point guard for a run.
No.
My answer to that would be,
Nope.
I agree with you too. I think I would just say it's sort of a longer way to answer it to say, I think if he ran 3 in a row with Jeremy Fears, he'd still want to keep going until he feels like he can't do it anymore. And so, because, Mateen Cleaves Jr.'s out there, and
That's
he's
the
coming.
answer. That's the answer.
So I think
it's
he's going to want to, whether he goes all 4 years with Mateen Cleaves Jr. or if he's a 4-year player, I don't know, but that'll be the question, I guess.
answer. He's not going to leave before he has a chance to coach Mateen Cleaves Jr. I mean, put that in stuff, health permitting, obviously.
Obviously, yes, clearly, yeah.
But if he's healthy, assuming that, he's not done before that.
Yeah, I agree.
Put that in stone.
And I so enjoy this.
Does he look like a guy that's not enjoying himself? I mean, come on.
He looks like he's having more fun than he's had before.
Yeah,
I think he is. And he's not doing as much other work that he was doing before, like, committees and things like that. So I think he's just kind of focused on coaching. He's hanging around town, and he's able to do and he's been wildly successful, not only on the court, but off the court too, with like recruiting. I mean, there's nothing about it like you feel like he's fading. Like, if anything, you think it's almost getting stronger in this era. Is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And he's doing his way, and he's not, as much as you might grumble about sort of the way things are, he's having quite a bit of success right now. Yeah. And so it's that his mom will be 100 soon. So yeah, he'll probably, and his dad would live to the ripe age. Never know what can happen, obviously, but that's the only thing that I think is going to slow him down is the health. I had at one point thought maybe the game, or if all these pro players start coming in, which they are, from Europe and stuff, if he can't compete against those and he doesn't want to coach that way, but if he can win with the way he's doing it, I don't know. I think he'll just keep going. Well, I think we'll probably wrap it up there, unless you have anything else to add. I think this is we're going to get into Duke in a couple days, and then it's not too much longer, and we'll take on the top from the ACC again. Weird you play Duke and North Carolina within 2 games of each other. That doesn't happen very often if it's not the tournament. All right, so again, make sure you visit our sponsors at Brothers Just Gutters, Squeegee Squad of Grand Rapids, Nudge Printing. You can find all those at a support page, ways to support a show as well. If you've not yet subscribed to the show, please hit the notification, give us hype, whatever, I don't know, whatever the things are. We appreciate you guys so much for coming out and joining us late after the game. Sorry, I got to get back from the game. So that's the rub with the home games. So it'll be the same thing with the Duke game, of course, too. I'll be back there a couple hours after the Duke game. So until next time, the Final Four is not on the schedule. Go green.